Greetings and welcome, everyone. Welcome to Lott Carey WISE episode 38, Testimonies and Thanksgivings. My name is Doria Larrier, the host of the Lott Carey WISE Digital Couch, and I'm very, very excited to chat with you this evening. We have a couple of little protocols that we know to call here, and one of them is you will be our stream team this evening. And what does that mean? That means a couple of things. First of all, if you are on Facebook or if you're on YouTube, wherever it is that you're watching us, please share this out to those people who really should be watching this. We also would love for you to let us know where you are listening from, what city, state, your pastor. Let us know what churches are represented and cities and towns are represented. Lastly, we want you to join into the conversation. If you have a question or a comment, please let us know. So on behalf of Reverend Emmett L. Dunn, who is the Executive Secretary Treasurer of Lott Carey, as well as Reverend Dr. Gina M. Stewart, who is our president, First Vice President Jesse Williams, Second Vice President James Victor, the President of the Women in Service Everywhere, which is Dr. Angelita Clifton, First Vice President Dr. Brenda McBurrow, Second Vice President Sister Lynette Richardson, our youth department, which is Reverend Brittany Mingle, and Brother Gregory Gabriel, who is the leader of Men on Missions. We welcome you tonight. We have a couple of things that are coming up, and so I'd like to let you know what those things are. The first of every month, so that was just yesterday, we had our 6:30 a.m. Prayer morning of prayer, and that happens the first of every month. And what's coming up next is May 11th, so that's next Saturday at Fountain Baptist Church in Summit, New Jersey. We will have the 19th annual prayer service and the Jumping for Justice Double Dutch Revival. We will also then have June 22nd to the 27th at the University of Maryland Eastern Shore, the 69th annual youth seminar. Then, we've been waiting for this 127th Lott Carey annual session, August 12th to the 15th, 2024 in Memphis, Tennessee. So tonight we are going to be having our fifth episode of this year, which is called Testimonies and Thanksgivings. And we are talking to our Lott Carey leadership about their testimony and Thanksgiving. And tonight we're going to be joined by Sister Lottie McKoy. So please help us welcome her. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good
How are
evening.
you?
Welcome to
Thank
the Lott
you.
Carey WISE Digital Couch. Now, but before we get into this, we have to give a very special shout out because both of us here on this couch, we are actually not only from the same organization, but we're from the same church, as well as, of course, the same city and state. So Sister Lottie McKoy and myself, we both attend Salem Missionary Baptist Church in the borough of Brooklyn, New York. And so we have to give a shout out to our pastor who we know is watching, and that is Reverend Dr. James Arthur Thornton. So good evening, Reverend Thornton. All right. So, Sister Lottie McKoy, we thank you so much. First, can you tell us your role and responsibility with Lott Carey Women in Service Everywhere? And then we'll get into our questions for this evening.
Well, good evening, and thank you so much for having me. It's an honor. My role, as of right now, is the Assistant Recording Secretary for WISE.
Excellent. And so we're going to get right into the conversation, and I am going to be able to see people's comments. And so again, if you have a question, please let us know. You can drop it into YouTube first off and maybe into the Facebook page, and then we can transfer it over. So we've been asking Lott Carey leadership for their own personal testimony and then moments of Thanksgiving. And so our first question is, what captured your attention about Lott Carey? What was it about Lott Carey that said, I really have to do this? I have to be a part.
That's a good question. Well, I'd have to go back to my very first time of attending Lott Carey. And I'd have to give credit to my church, which is, as you said, the Salem Missionary Baptist Church, which at that time was pastored under Thomas Boyd and now Pastor James Thornton. But that was my first introduction to Lott Carey because of the church. And it's been over 20 years, actually, from the first time I attended. I remember it was in North Carolina. And it was such an eye-opening experience because, you hear about missions and missionaries, and you have a certain concept in your mind of what you think that is. And I believe, and I may be not correct, but I believe at that time they had started or had recently started what they was called the Monday Blitz. And so during that trip, we went to several, not just one place for the day. There were several locations that we went to serve and to minister to those we, met with. And I remember we went to the Wake County Jail. And that was really an eye opener for me because when we went in, there were all these young women, young girls who could have been my daughters who had been detained. And I spoke to one young lady, and I don't remember what the offense was at the time, and I was asking her, why are you here? How did you get yourself caught up in this? And she said, that's exactly it. She said, I got caught up being in the wrong place at the wrong time. And so it was just a very eye-opening experience for me. And I thought, again, as I said, we went to several places. The jail was one. We went to halfway houses for women who had been battling substance abuse and alcoholism and that sort of things. And it was just the work that the people were doing was so impressive, And so I'm like, this is really good. This is really good. It was an eye opener for me, and it was just a really wonderful experience. And each year, I look forward to going to Lott Carey. I haven't gotten weary yet after 20 plus years.
Excellent. So it was 20 years, you got your feet wet, and you have not turned back.
Exactly.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay. All right. And actually, so I do have a question. So since you said that it sounds like, did you have your first like appetite whetted by going to do prison ministry? How has that impacted how you look at missions, coming back home from that experience? And like, have you had additional connection or involvement with prison ministry?
Yes, not to the extent as some have had, but I believe also at that time there was a sister at the church at Salem who was very involved with prison ministry. And I did, as a part of our missionary society, wasn't just me, we did work on that behalf. I know that she did go into the prisons. I did not go into the prison again after that, but there were other ways in which you could be supportive of the persons who were in prison, which we took part in. And it was a yearly thing. So it was an ongoing commission, if you will.
Okay, excellent, excellent. Thank you so much for sharing that. So now let's go on to the second question, and that is probably connected to the first. And so it's, what do you love the most about Lott Carey?
Oh, wow. Well, there are many things I love about Lott Carey, but one of the things that certainly sticks out in my mind is that from that first experience, I would say that one of the things I love about Lott Carey is their consistency. They have been consistent in what I saw during that time and throughout the years, that what they do is for the benefit of others, that what they do monetarily, with your time, educational wise, however, it is for the benefit of others. And I think that's, sometimes we can all get kind of insulated in our own little worlds. So to have something open up for you to know that, it's not all about me. There are many things that you can do to help someone else. Certainly that's one. And then just so again, the consistency of Lott Carey. They have not wavered from the things that they do over the years and what they say they're going to do. They do. And I also love the conventions. When you go to Lott Carey, there's a sense of community. Obviously, there are people from different states. We're all from different states, different cities. But once you get there, there is a sense of community where, you may not have seen the person since the last time, but it's like, hey girl, hey, how you doing? And it's just really wonderful to have that feeling of togetherness and community. So, and I love that.
Excellent. I'm going to ask you to stretch that a little more. So, the people that you have met and developed relationships with along or across the years, and you said about 20 years, so 2 decades,
Mm-hmm.
you obviously have also met people from across the world. Have
Yes.
you connected with people in as a part of the global mission and been in contact with them, or like have you, because I personally know that you've gone on a couple of mission trips, so I definitely love for you to talk about one or two of them,
Mm-hmm.
and like how have you connected or maintained relationships with people as a result of Lott Carey?
Mm-hmm. Yes, so privileged to have been able to go on several mission trips. The first one that I went on actually was to Kenya, and that was certainly an eye opener. It was just a marvelous, marvelous experience. And you come away from wherever you come away feeling so blessed. You're going, thinking you're going to be a blessing to the people that you meet, but you feel so blessed because you realize that there's so much to do, and it doesn't have to be a big grandiose thing that you do. A lot of times your presence, that was one of the things that going to Kenya I think meant a lot. Just being there, um, the people that we interacted with they were just so appreciative of us taking the time to come and to be and to worship with them, and just the graciousness of them um, was just something I would never ever forget. And then other trips that I've gone on, I have formed, little relationships or connections with some of the women that I've met, like in South Africa, um, and recently in going to Liberia. Um, well, before going to Liberia, actually, being in support of one of the students at the schools there. Um, so I've done that for a couple of years now, and it's just a wonderful feeling to know that I'm able to contribute, and that's just in a small way. It's nothing big, but it's still something that it hopefully it's a blessing to them because it's helping with their education, and it's certainly a blessing to me that whatever I have, I'm able to share.
I think one thing that Lott Carey does is it makes the world a little bit smaller.
Exactly.
Can you?
Exactly.
So I've heard personal, again, testimonies, and this is definitely a testimony. What's one of the stories? And again, you've been to Kenya, you've been to a couple of other places. What is the biggest takeaway that you felt like you had the biggest impact? And even though you said, you may support them in a little way, let's say monetarily, and you may see it as a drop in the bucket, they may see it as something else. What did you see, or what did you know that your either time, talent, and tithe to that organization, what kind of impact do you think that it made? Like, what's something that was designed, built, improved, refurbished as a result of your time, talent, and tithe?
Wow. I don't know if any of that was as a result of my time there, but I would say that in South Africa, I did form, even though we haven't been in touch recently, but I did form a bond with one of the young ladies there. Um, and it makes it special because it also, as you said, the world is really small. You know, obviously geographically we're all spread out, different miles, but the world is really small. And when you go someplace and you see that there's some of the same issues that are in other places that you also have, might be in a slightly different vein or to a lesser degree, but some of the same issues. So it's easy really to connect with someone um, because we're all human. It's not them and us, it's humanity.
Excellent, excellent. Um, So, and I guess this question is kind of connected to what we've been talking about. How has it impacted your worldview globally and locally? So, I'm going to shift the conversation just a little
Mhm.
bit. So, we
Mhm.
talked about, like the world feeling smaller because we've literally gotten on a plane and
Right.
crossed, the divide. But how has that impacted how you come back and how you look at missions locally?
Well, I would say that, again, as I said, and you've said, the world is really small. It's not that it's so huge. And again, going back to what I previously said, some of the same issues that are there are the same issues here. So it actually gives me more courage. I was going to say motivation, but I don't need really any motivation to help someone. I like to think that I'm always motivated to help, but I would say courage um, to actually get involved in some other type of project here at home because there are things that need to be done. And one of the things that I've had the privilege to do in the past before COVID, because COVID, changed a lot of things, but here in the States, I worked with foster kids who were aging out of the system or right at the brink of, and who were it was through a program to help them, do their resumes, to give them guidance on how to live on their own, uh, money management, things like that. And so I love that sort of stuff. And I think uh, being able to travel on various mission trips, like I said, and I think that gave me a little more courage to stretch out and get involved in things like that,
Okay.
if that makes sense.
It does, it does. And so this actually ties into this question. If someone, whoever it was that introduced you and said, Sister Lottie, you have to go.
Mm-hmm.
Come take the trip.
Mm-hmm.
This is a two-part. What was your first thought of going to another country to do the mission work? We probably touched on it at the beginning, but
Mm-hmm.
then how now, 20 years later, what would you say to someone else who has yet to get on that plane in order to
Mm-hmm.
go that mission work? What is the impact that you would say it's going to have on the person, not on them where they're going, but
Right.
what would you say to someone so that they would say, okay, let me give it a try. Not just coming to convention, yes, but
Mm-hmm.
also going to do a mission trip.
To go do a mission trip. Well, for me, when it came, excuse me, first time opportunity came up to go, I was eager to go. I really had no hesitation whatsoever. And you have these thoughts sometimes about um, what if, because here you're going someplace that you've heard about, and maybe what you've heard has not been the best. It's been something, on a negative vibe, and all these things that, oh well, you know, uh, they don't have this, they live this way, and so forth. And some of that is true, but I was very eager to go. So I didn't have any fear, you know, or any real trepidation about going. I think probably at the time, any fear that I had, it wasn't about necessarily the place or the people, but maybe the atmosphere, because there's violence going on in different places. Some maybe a little bit of that might have crept into my mind. But otherwise, I was raring to go. I'm like, ready, let's go. And after that first trip, I'm like, okay, next, you know.
When are we going back? Where are we going
Yeah,
next year? What are
yeah,
we doing?
exactly. And so, but I would say to anyone who really had a desire to go, if you have a genuine desire to go, I would certainly say go. And I would say go, but go with no expectations. Because
Mm,
I think sometimes people can trip themselves up by expecting this, expecting that, thinking it's going to be, just go with an open mind and an open heart and some common sense, I mean, so you don't go and then you're like, oh my God, I'll never do this again. And,
Mhm.
why am I on this trip? And, oh, this was terrible. But you have to go for the right reason. You have to go because you have a heart to connect with someone else who is across the globe. I think that's very important because if you go because, oh, well, there's a group doing this and I think I just want to go just to go. No, 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 no. I would say do not do that because that doesn't do you a good service and it does no good for the people that you're going to meet and interact with. You have to go for the right reasons because this is something that you really and truly want to do and experience and be a part of.
Excellent. So there's a quote or then an adage about Lott Carey, and it's the theme that is said every year. Everybody
Is
is
somebody.
somebody in
Yeah.
at Lott Carey. How does
Yes.
that statement or that adage, how does that resonate with you? What does it mean to you? Why is it important to you?
Mhm. Well, it does resonate with me, and I I believe it to be true. And I'll go back to what I said earlier that when you go, there's a sense of community. And so obviously there's leadership, different levels. There's, doctor this and doctor that, uh, as far as like the preachers and so forth. But when you go there, it's just again, it's a feeling of community. You connect with people. It's very spiritually uplifting for me, and I feel like I'm somebody. I know I'm somebody, but I feel like I'm a part of the whole somebodyness. So I don't feel like, oh, what am I doing here? And oh, I don't feel comfortable here. I don't feel any of that at all.
So I have to say for the record and for those people who are watching, I'm going to tell them, Sister Lottie,
Oh
this
boy.
surprise that Sister Lottie even came on because whenever we're having meetings or what have you, when there's like in the Zoom world, she's like, I'm not turning my camera on. But when I got the message 2 days ago that Sister Lottie was going to be on this digital couch, I said, really? This is amazing. This literally is a testimony to everybody is somebody like Carrie. And so
Absolutely.
right, and those people who are, watching this, if you're watching live on the replay, if you walked in saying, I'm just gonna sit in the back, I'm not gonna get involved in anything. Let me know how that went out, how that went for you. Right.
Yeah.
Let me know how that went for you. Because usually someone sort of just takes a look, pulls you and says, hey, you interested in doing this? Or can you do that? Or can you help us out with it? Then you part of a group, you part of a committee, and it's a beautiful, beautiful feeling of the togetherness of the, whether or not you thought you had skills, I'm gonna give you some skills that you're gonna work on. And I definitely
Right.
think that, I'm a testament or a testimony of that. Sister
Mm-hmm.
Lottie's testimony of that as well. That,
Yep.
we kind of just wanted to like stand on the side. We kind of wanted to be like the little wallflower. And then someone just sort of pulled us in and here we go. And that's definitely a testament to Lott Carey that you come in, you think you're going to sit and you're going to pay attention, and then you wind up getting a responsibility that literally lifts you up and lets you know that what your impact is not
Mm-hmm.
just locally, but
Right.
it is globally. And knowing, even if you can't travel, not everybody travels, but
Right.
those people who may not travel, they pray. Those people who may not be able to, get on the plane and do the ripping and running, even for the short term mission blitz that
Mm-hmm.
we do when we do arrive at convention,
Mm-hmm.
that there are other opportunities to serve and to learn and to grow.
Right.
For me, that's a beautiful thing. For Sister Lottie, I know we've talked about that offline. Do
Yeah.
you want to say a little bit more about that?
No, I would just echo what you just said. Absolutely, you're absolutely right, and certainly everybody is not going to go on the missions trip, and nor do they have to. Because just because you don't do that doesn't mean that you're not engaged with what Lott Carey is doing or concerned. There's so many other avenues, obviously financially, whatever support you're able to give is certainly in your prayers. And any of the partners that you ever have heard speak or have the opportunity to talk to one-on-one, as much needs as they have, they will always say, pray for us. Prayer is a beautiful thing. And when you can connect with your brothers and sisters in prayer, wherever they are, it's a really beautiful thing. And as you said, when you come to Lott Carey, you may not end up with a particular job, but just your presence and being there as a support, participating in the service, and it's that's wonderful, you know. So it's just like, yes, I'm not, as you said, you know, this is not my, you know, really my avenue, but for some things I can stand up for, and Lott Carey is one of them. I don't mind speaking on behalf of Lott Carey. I think it's such a wonderful organization that runs with integrity and just like I said, it's just a wonderful organization, and they do what they say they're going to do. And I don't know if you can see it, but I have on my "I Am Lott Carey" shirt. I wear it proudly. Yes, absolutely. So
We are very, very thankful of that. And so, just as a reminder to those who are watching, of course, if you have already participated in the Lott Carey Convention, once again, if you go onto the Lott Carey website at lottcarey.org, you will see our annual convention that's coming up. We will be in Memphis, Tennessee, where we will gather again, once again, for the 127th time in our president's home state in order to have the conversations, to learn about missions on the local, national, international level, to hear from our partners, to engage in short mission trips in the city of Memphis, and to come alongside, that's the phrase, come alongside
yeah.
people who are already doing work in their own local community and give them a little hand, hands and feet on the ground, finances where we can work it, and hearts and minds ready to pray for those things. We don't just do that in the space, but then we come home, and that's the most important thing.
Mhm.
I was raised on this song Mountaintop, and it's, we spend a lot of time on the mountaintop where everything is like glorious, right? We go and we converge on a space, but then when we come back home, we are encouraged to take that mission mindedness and bring it back to our local community. So as we go to places in order to again impact on a great level onto that space, we're also directed and educated and trained to come back home to our local churches, take some of the ideas, take some of
Mhm.
the heart, the mind, the soul of mission work, and translate that into our home spaces. And so I wanted to make sure, thank you. I wanted to make sure that people recognize that they hear that, and they are reminded. Don't just do it once a year. Don't just go to a one state and do that, but make sure that you take the ideas, the books that we read, the lessons that we learn, and bring it back to our own home churches and home communities. So, wait. So we had Dr. Clifton, who was not able to send messages, but she sent it to me on the phone. So I'm gonna add this last one. As one of the key Lott Carey leaders, what oh what is something that what do you hope for the future of Lott Carey? There we go. That is your bonus question.
Asking me that question?
It is from Dr. Angelina Clifton. That's what she said.
What do I hope for the future of Lott Carey? Well, I would hope that for the future of Lott Carey, it will continue to expand as it has done from the time that I first went. It has certainly expanded its reach. It has expanded its whole, uh, can't think of the word, but it has expanded everything that it does, and it continues to grow. And so I would just hope and pray that that will continue, that the leadership of Lott Carey will always be under people who have great hearts for missions and for other people, and to keep that whole sense of community going. And I would just like to say, Sister Larry, which you actually kind of touched on it, just one more thing regarding, since we talked about mission trips and then the outreach that Lott Carey does uh, during the convention. That's very important as well. As was said, not everybody wants to go or is able to go or would like to go out of the country to do missions. We have lots of missions right here at home in the States. So wherever you are, and that's one of the things that I had been doing before I ever went on a mission trip. Though every time they would have the Monday Blitz, I was signed up for it, and I was out there and I was going. And sometimes you might think, oh, it's just one day in this community. It has a big impact. Even though it's one day, it has a big impact on the people who are there, and they are appreciative of the time also that you take. And as you said, there's sometimes ideas that you can bring back to your own home church or town, and maybe implement something or at least take a piece of it. But it's nothing is ever too little. So one day is an important impact. Doesn't have to be you're gone a week or whatever, someplace. One day, a few hours is a huge impact on the people that you serve. And that's what it's about, service.
So I have to put up, wait, don't go anywhere. I have to put this up because every once in a while you need like a little pat on the back. So I'm going to put this up. So this is our pastor, Reverend James Thornton. Thank you, Reverend Thornton. He says, thank you for sharing Sister Lottie excellent presentation. Thank you, Doriel. Thank you. And then, so I had to respond, right? But here's what he just said. So he said, my life was greatly impacted by Lott Carey, especially through the PEP, the PEP program, which I believe was the Pastors for Excellence program. I definitely want to shout that out because one thing that Lott Carey does, which all churches, whoever participates, should recognize that there's so much information that comes out that you may or may not have in your local community, in your home community. But when you get these amazing churches that do this great work and you get them to come into a space like that at the convention, everyone's bringing their best. They're bringing their A game, but they're bringing their A game for God and for missions. And so if one person in, Tuscaloosa, wherever comes and says, hey, I do this thing, other people are like, wow, I never thought about that. And that's what's great about coming to a convention. And the convention is focused on mission work. We're all doing mission work because that's why we come. We are part of mission organizations. So when you bring all of that expertise to a focus group like that with geniuses from around the country who focus in their local communities, it's win-win-win.
Absolutely.
It is win-win-win. So if you've never been, come on out, encourage somebody to come out, get some of your other local churches to participate. But if you go, bring something back that is different and bring it to your home church, to have a conversation with your missionary team at your church, your pastor, and say, hey, is this on the heart and the mind of the leader? Is it on the heart and the mind of the missionary society? It's something that we talked about. Is it something that we can implement? Do we have the infrastructure? We've had an amazing book clubs and book talks and trauma-informed ministry models and incredible stuff. And we've been able to impact and build and strengthen the foundation of our own home churches because we're learning something new. And that's the key. Don't just come to sit, sing, tap, and, give a hug, but bring some of that great information back and see how it can strengthen your home environment. So I just want to, add that to the testimony and Thanksgiving. Thank you so much, Sister Lottie, for sharing. It is Thursday. And so, yes, we have our Thursdays in Black on. Please join us. If you know, then you know, then you know. Every Thursday, ecumenicals across the world join in concert to bring awareness to their own places and spaces that we want to eradicate gender-based violence across the globe. And one way that we do that is by wearing Black. And so thank you, Sister Lottie, for donning your Black. Thank you for joining us here.
Thank you.
Yes, excellent. And we just want to give another just big shout out to our leadership. Thank you so much to Reverend Dunn, to Dr. Stewart, to all of the leadership of Lott Carey, to Dr. Angelita Clifton, and all of the churches who support us to take the time to come and to be involved in this organization. So we thank you. So to our Digital Couch family and stream team, we thank you so much. We'll see you in a few days, those people will be able to come out to Fountain Baptist Church next Saturday for the Jumping for Justice anti-human trafficking event. It is going to be fantabulous. And then the youth seminar, which is coming up in June, followed by, thank you, Lady Van. I see you. She says, thank you for sharing. I appreciate it. And then, of course, we'll see you at annual session. So get ready, everyone. We look forward to seeing you. Have a good night. Make sure, again, you shout out where you're from so we know who is registered and who's joining us, and share this with someone else. All right. Good night, everyone.
Thank you, Doria.
Good night.